to start today by looking at this assumption we all have about money. You know, you go to a class, you read a book, and it's always treated like a hard science.
Right, like it's physics or something.
Exactly. Like there are these fixed laws, and if you just punch the right numbers into a spreadsheet, you get the right answer.
Input-output fallacy, yeah. We think there's a perfect formula.
But today we're taking a completely different approach. We're looking at research that says finance isn't physics at all. It's psychology. It's about your ego, your fears, how your brain is wired.
Which is a huge shift in perspective. We are diving into The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. And the core idea here is, well, it's fascinating because it kind of levels the playing field.
How so?
Housel argues that doing well with money has very little to do with how smart you are and a lot to do with how you behave.
That's the hook for me. You can be a literal genius, an astrophysicist, and still go broke if you can't control your emotions.
And the reverse is true. Someone with zero financial training can just master a few behavioral traits like patience and end up outperforming that genius. It frames money as a soft skill.
Which explains so much. It explains why really smart people do incredibly stupid things with their money all the time.
It does.
So today, we're going to explore 3 specific realizations from this research. And honestly, it felt like taking the red pill in the Matrix. Once you see this stuff, you can't unsee it.
It completely shatters that Instagram view of wealth we're all bombarded with.
It's going to change how you look at success. And it is definitely going to change how you look at the guy pulling up next to you in a Ferrari.
Let's start right there, actually. The first realization, Housel calls it the man in the car paradox.
And this comes from his own life, right? Before he was a big finance writer.
That's right. When he was in college, he worked as a valet at a really high-end hotel in LA. So he was parking Ferraris, Lamborghinis, the absolute peak of luxury.
So he's seeing wealth up close.
He is. And he started to notice something really weird about his own reaction. A Ferrari pulls up, and he's just in awe of the car, the engineering, the design. But then he realizes he never, ever looks at the driver.
Yeah, it's like the paradox.
He never looked at the guy behind the wheel and thought, wow, that guy is cool. He looked at the car and thought, man, if I had that car, people would think I'm cool.
Oh, that is a brutal insight into human nature.
It is.
We buy these flashy things, the watches, the cars, to signal to other people that we've made it. We want their respect, but they're not even looking at us.
Nope. They're just using your possession as a mirror to fantasize about themselves. You're basically just a prop in their daydream.
Housel has this one line that just cuts so deep. He says, "No one is impressed with your possessions as much as you are."
It's a tragic irony, really. You spend a fortune to get respect, and the purchase just makes you invisible.
This all leads to a really critical distinction he makes. The difference between being rich and being wealthy.
Yes. And we use those words interchangeably, but they're basically opposites in this framework.
Okay, so break that down. What's rich?
Rich is visible. It's current income. It's the $100,000 car. You see it, so you know the person is rich. Or at least you know they had $100,000 at some point.
Rich is the peacock's feathers. It's all display.
Exactly. But wealth is hidden. Wealth is the income you did not spend. It's the money sitting in an investment account, compounding, unseen.
He tells this story about a guy named Roger who drove a Porsche, wore the best suits, looked like he was absolutely winning.
The perfect picture of rich.
Until one day he just wasn't. He shows up in an old Honda. Turns out the Porsche was repossessed. He was spending every single dime to maintain the image of being rich.
Which is the fastest way to make sure you never actually become wealthy.
It's like this. It was maybe the most savage defense in history. He basically said in court, was it really necessary to tell her that if you spend money on things, you will end up with the things and not the money?
It sounds like a joke, but that's the trap.
The trap is thinking being a millionaire means spending $1 million. But it's literally the opposite.
It's not spending the $1 million. That's how you have it. So realization number 1 is wealth is what you don't see.
Okay, so let's move to the second one. If wealth is the money we don't spend, how do we get it? And maybe more importantly, how do we keep it?
This is where the psychology gets really interesting, because he argues that getting wealthy and staying wealthy are 2 completely different skills.
Opposing skills, even.
Totally opposite. Getting rich requires optimism, big risks, swinging for the fences. You have to believe the future is going to be amazing.
You have to be bold.
You do. But staying rich, that requires the exact opposite. It requires paranoia.
Paranoia. That's not a word you hear in most financial advice.
No, but it's the only one that fits. It's this constant fear that what you've built can be taken away in an instant. It's the humility to know that maybe some of your success was just luck.
He uses this incredible story from the 1929 stock market crash to illustrate this. Two investors, Jesse Livermore and Abraham Germansky.
Yeah, this really sets the scene. So Jesse Livermore was a trading god, a legend. And right before the crash, he decides to short the entire U.S. market. He bet everything that it would all collapse.
And he was right. I mean, historically, spectacularly right. While everyone else was getting wiped out, Livermore made $100 million in a single day.
In 1929 money, that's billions today, he became one of the richest men on the planet overnight.
He'd conquered the market. But then you have the other guy, Abraham Germansky.
Right, a multimillionaire real estate guy, very smart. But he was an optimist. He bet that the market would keep rising. He lost everything in the crash, just vanished.
So in 1929, Livermore is the genius. He had the skill to get rich.
But here's the twist. He had the skill to get rich, but not to stay rich. After that massive win, he was just overflowing with confidence. He thought he was invincible.
He lacked the paranoia.
Completely. He kept making bigger and bigger bets, using more leverage, assuming he couldn't lose. And of course, the market eventually humbled him.
How badly?
Within just 4 years, he lost the entire fortune, every penny. He ended up broke, in debt, and he took his own life.
That's haunting, to have it all and lose it because you couldn't switch from offense to defense.
It proves the most important financial skill is just survival. If you get wiped out, the game is over. You can't let compounding do its work.
And compounding takes time. A lot of time.
It does. I mean, look at Warren Buffett. There's a stat about him that just breaks your brain. At the time the book was written, his net worth was about $84.5 billion.
Right, a staggering number.
But $81.5 billion of that came after his 65th birthday.
Wait, say that again?
81.5 of his $84.5 billion. It all came after he was old enough to collect Social Security.
That's insane. So his entire fortune, practically, came late in life.
That's the power of survival. He wasn't just a good investor. He was a good investor for 75 years without ever getting wiped out. He was paranoid enough to avoid the big fatal mistakes.
And this ties into another idea I loved, the difference between being rational and being reasonable.
Yes, this is a huge unlock for people. We're told we have to be perfectly rational with money. Just follow the math.
But he uses this analogy of a fever.
It's a great one. Biologically, a fever is good. It's your body fighting an infection. So the purely rational thing to do is let it burn. Don't take anything.
But no one does that. You feel miserable, you can't sleep, so you take a Tylenol.
Exactly. Taking the pill is technically irrational from a medical standpoint, but it's highly reasonable because it helps you function and sleep.
So how does that apply to money?
Think about paying off your mortgage. A spreadsheet will almost always tell you it's a bad idea. You know, if your mortgage is at 3% and the market makes 8%, you should invest the extra money.
A rational move.
The rational move, but we're not spreadsheets. If paying off your house gives you deep peace of mind, if it helps you sleep at night, then do it. It's the reasonable thing to do.
Because the best strategy is the one you can actually stick with long term.
Exactly. The rational strategy fails if you panic and sell during a crash. The reasonable strategy works because it accounts for your own psychology.
That is so liberating. It gives you permission to do what feels right for you, not just what a formula says.
Yeah.
And that peace of mind, that's the perfect bridge to the third realization, isn't it?
It is. We've talked about hiding your wealth, being paranoid to keep it, but why? What's the point of it all?
Which brings us to realization number 3, the Freedom Dividend.
This is my favorite part because it pivots from finance to philosophy. Housel says the highest form of wealth isn't a yacht, it's not a private jet. It's the ability to wake up in the morning and say, I can do whatever I want today.
It's all about control.
100%. There was this huge study by a psychologist, Angus Campbell. He was trying to figure out what actually makes people happy. He looked at income, location, education, everything.
And it wasn't just having more money.
Not directly. The single strongest common denominator for happiness across the board was having a strong sense of controlling one's life.
More than anything else.
More than anything, and that's what money can buy. Housel calls it the freedom dividend. Money's greatest value is its ability to give you control over your time.
And you can think about it in levels, right?
Absolutely. Level 1 is just having a few $1,000s saved. That means you can take a sick day without panicking about rent. That's a huge amount of freedom.
Level 2 could be having 6 months of expenses saved. So if you get laid off from a job you hate, you don't have to desperately take the first terrible offer that comes along.
You're buying autonomy. You have options. And level 3, of course, is retiring when you want or only working on projects you truly love.
The problem is, as a society, we've kind of gone the wrong way with this.
We have. We're richer than ever, our houses are bigger, our cars are better, but we're not any happier.
And why is that?
Because we've used all that extra wealth to buy more stuff instead of more time. We've taken on bigger mortgages and longer commutes to pay for the stuff, which means we've actually given up control over our time.
We traded the one thing that actually makes us happy, control, for things we think will make us happy. That's a tough pill to swallow.
It is. It reframes the whole idea of savings. Savings isn't just for a rainy day. Every dollar you save is buying back a piece of your future that you now own.
Okay, so let's recap. We have a clear roadmap. Realization 1. Don't fall for the man in the car. Build wealth, don't just signal it.
2. Be paranoid enough to survive so you can let compounding work its magic.
And 3, use that wealth to buy freedom, to buy control over your time, not just more stuff.
It's simple in theory, very hard in practice.
Before we sign off, I want to leave everyone with one last thought from the book. It's about the concept of enough. And there's this story about a man named Rajat Gupta that is, well, it's the ultimate warning.
It's a chilling story. Gupta was the CEO of McKinsey, one of the most prestigious firms in the world. He was worth $100 million. He had already won the game.
By any sane metric, yes.
But it wasn't enough for him. He was hanging out with billionaires like Bill Gates, and next to them, he felt poor. He wanted to be a billionaire.
So he started insider trading.
He did. He was on the board of Goldman Sachs, got a tip about a big investment, and immediately called a hedge fund manager. He risked everything.
And he got caught, went to prison. Destroyed his reputation, his career, his family's name.
For what? To go from an amount of money he could never spend to an even bigger amount he could never spend.
There's a quote about it that I have literally written down on my desk now. There is no reason to risk what you have and need for what you don't have and don't need.
That's it. That is the entire lesson. He risked things he had and absolutely needed. His freedom, his reputation for something he didn't have and absolutely did not need.
It's the danger of the goalpost always moving. If you can't define what enough means for you, you'll never feel wealthy. You'll just keep chasing more until you take a risk that wipes you out.
So define your enough. Wealth is quiet.
That's our deep dive for today. I hope this helps you look at your own finances a little differently. Stop watching the influencers, start buying your freedom, and we'll see you next time.